Alright, what is up you guys? I am here with my Hell in a Cell pay-per-view ranking. This is my opinion, so I definitely want your opinions down below on how you would rank these Hell in a Cell pay-per-views. So first up, I do want to say none of these pay-per-views are really terrible. I think Hell in a Cell, kind of like Money in the Bank, they never really had a terrible pay-per-view. But first up, we have Hell in a Cell 2011. I thought this was a very underwhelming pay-per-view. You know, we had a triple threat Hell in a Cell, which was decent, and then we had Mark Henry and Randy Orton Hell in a Cell, which was just a huge disappointment. I mean, people weren't really expecting much from that regardless, but it really did not feel like a Hell in a Cell match. So, to me, this was just kind of a waste of the Hell in a Cell match. So, you know, the undercard was decent. You know, you had Sheamus and Christian. You had tag team titles. You had Cody Rhodes and John Morrison. Other than that, there's really not much to say about this pay-per-view. Next up, we have 2010. This one was main evented by Kane and The Undertaker. And this Hell in a Cell match was a giant disappointment. It really was. Really not much to say about this match. It really just wasn't what you would expect, because usually that's a dream match. Taker and Kane, Hell in a Cell. But it really just did not live up to the name. You had Randy Orton and Sheamus, okay Hell in a Cell match, nothing special there. You had John Cena and Wade Barrett, the Nexus storyline. Overall, I just think this was a disappointing pay-per-view. Next up, we have 2012. This pay-per-view is pretty much known for Sheamus and Big Show having a pretty good World Heavyweight Championship match. And CM Punk and Ryback, Hell in a Cell match. I don't think anyone really wanted to see that match. And that's all we have for Hell in a Cell. So we had one Hell in a Cell match. Was not very eventful. And then we have, Randy Orton versus Del Rio. The Miz and Kofi Kingston. You have Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara versus the Primetime Players. Really not much to say about this pay-per-view. Very average. Next up, we have 2013. This one was kind of an intriguing main event because you had Shawn Michaels as your special guest referee. And we did have CM Punk and Ryback again. But I think this Hell in a Cell match was a little bit better than their other one. You know, you had Paul Heyman on top there, GTS. And the main event with Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton, you know, adding to the Authority storyline. And, of course, you had Shawn Michaels in there. And we all know how that ended. So, you know, it was a good chapter in the Authority storyline. I just really don't think it was really that memorable of a Hell in a Cell match, quite honestly. And then you had John Cena returning to challenge Del Rio for the world title. So, once again, nothing much to say about this one. I think it was, you know, an average pay-per-view. Next up, we have 2014. Really love this cover, by the way. But we have John Cena and Randy Orton again. And then we have Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose in a good Hell in a Cell match. I did enjoy that one. So like I said, we have John Cena and Randy Orton again. There's really no intrigue in that rivalry anymore. You also have Kevin Owens and Bray Wyatt. So we had a decent number of Hell in a Cell matches. And really the only really memorable one was Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. And they did have a good Hell in a Cell match. It was really good. You know, you had that great announcer table spot. But overall, I think this was an above average pay-per-view. That's why I rank it so high. And the undercard, kind of lacking. But, you know, we have a Big Show and Rusev. So, yeah, it was decent, the undercard. But I think the Hell in a Cell main events were pretty good. Next, we have Hell in a Cell 2009, the inaugural Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. This one's very well known for pretty much Undertaker burying CM Punk in a very short opener. And then we have John Cena versus Randy Orton, Hell in a Cell. We have DX versus Legacy in a very good Hell in a Cell match. So this one was really meant to kickstart this pay-per-view. And I think it did a good job. It has a good undercard, too. You have triple threat match for the U.S. title. You have John Morrison and Dolph Ziggler. A unified tag team title match. Overall, I think this is a really good pay-per-view. Other than the opener, CM Punk and Undertaker could have been a lot better, obviously. Next up, we have Hell in a Cell 2016. Of course, this is well known for the first women's main event pay-per-view and the first women's Hell in a Cell match. Overall, I thought it was a success. I thought they did pretty good. I thought it was an above-average Hell in a Cell match. We have Rusev and Roman Reigns in Hell in a Cell. We have Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. Pretty good match. Overall, I thought this pay-per-view was very good. So we had 3 Hell in a Cell matches for this one, like I said. And, you have the Bar there and the New Day. And, overall, I thought this was not only, revolutionary, but kind of breath of fresh air at the time. 2016 was not the best year, but I thought this was a really good pay-per-view. Now, the women's match, it could have been better, but I feel given what they had, they made something out of it. I know they had bigger plans for it. I know Charlotte, she wanted to do a moonsault off the top, which Vince wouldn't allow. So, they definitely had bigger ambitions, but overall I do think they did good. And a great rivalry they were having at the time. Next up, we have Hell in a Cell 2017, the latest edition in the pay-per-view. You had a fantastic Hell in a Cell match with the Usos and the New Day. That was just an awesome Hell in a Cell match. Utilizing weapons very well, which we don't see very often Hell in a Cell as much anymore. But they really went over the top with weapons. And obviously that's one of the best tag team rivalries in the last decade. So that was really cool. And of course we had Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon in a really good Hell in a Cell match. And I've always praised the ending to that match, actually giving us a good surprise with Sami Zayn that not a lot of people saw coming. And we did have, Jinder Mahal and Nakamura. That was kind of a low point. But 2 really good Hell in a Cell matches, especially the main event. I really enjoyed that one. And it was very tense seeing them, go at it on top of the cell, which we really don't see very often to that extent. So that was really, really cool how they did that. Kind of shades of Triple H and Mick Foley back in the day in 2000. Number 1 for me is Hell in a Cell 2015. One of my personal favorite Hell in a Cell matches was Brock and Undertaker at 2002's No Mercy. And this one, in my opinion, was a great sequel to that Hell in a Cell match. And it could be better. It's all about opinion there. But they had a great Hell in a Cell match to cap off their 2015 rivalry. Very cool back cover here, too. We also had Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt in a decent Hell in a Cell match. And, you had Seth Rollins and Kane. We had John Cena defending his U.S. title against Del Rio in a surprise return. And, I thought this was a great Hell in a Cell main event. You had blood, you had violence, which was kind of lacking at the time, obviously. I know Vince wasn't a fan of the blood, but it added to the match. So overall, this is, in my opinion, the best Hell in a Cell pay-per-view that we have had. Let me know your list down below. This has been the DVD Freak. Peace out.